Yeah, Pete, certainly an extremely busy day here in Queensland yesterday. A fiery question time for the final sitting week before the state election. Of course, we do know Sarah Cassab travelled from Canberra to Queensland to say goodbye to her dying father. Sadly, she wasn't able to see him before he did pass away, holed up in that hotel quarantine just around the corner from where I am now. Yesterday was his funeral. Queensland Health finally made an 11th hour decision to allow her to view her father's body in private but not attend the funeral, meaning she couldn't console her mother and her 11-year-old sister who attended the funeral. Many people are saying this is simply a double standard from Annastacia Palaszczuk, simply because we've seen Tom Hanks being able to bend the rules by choosing the hotel on the Gold Coast to stay in when he landed back in Australia. We saw Danny Minogue able to skip mandatory quarantine and quarantine in a luxury Gold Coast home. But the PM did in fact call the Premier yesterday to show some compassion when it came to Sarah's case. But after seeing the images yesterday of Sarah dressed in full PPE, including a hazmat suit, a mask and a face covering, he said this was simply disgraceful.
I've seen the images of when she went to see her dad, and there have been some shocking days during the course of this pandemic, and today just hurt. I don't really care what they say about me. It's not about me. It's not about her.
Now, during question time, of course, an extremely tempestuous question time, the Premier was accused of being heartless, being a hypocrite and practising double standards when it came to border closures and exemptions. But out of all of this, Pete, and of all days on Are You OK Day, the Premier accused the Prime Minister of bullying and intimidation.
I will not be bullied, nor will I be intimidated.
Order.
By the Prime Minister of this country.
Now, the opposition leader, Deb Frecklington, seized on this opportunity, saying that the Premier, again, needed to show some compassion. And if she was in the top job, she would have definitely given Sarah an exemption based on the fact that she came from Canberra, which hasn't had an active case of COVID for 62 days.
Seriously, that is not bullying. What he was doing was appealing to your compassion, and yet the Premier of Queensland has shown that she's buck-passing.
And Brandon, a GoFundMe page is gathering major support for a Brisbane father. Yeah, Pete, sort of a bittersweet moment, of course. We know Mark Keynes is a 39-year-old Brisbane father. He's sadly been told this Christmas will likely be his last. But Queensland Health has approved an exemption for one of his children to visit him before he passes away. But the thing is, he has 4 children, so that has caused major uproar. But overnight on Paul Murray Live, his family's GoFundMe page did garner major support. Right now it's standing at $209,000. Part of that money, of course, to cover those hotel quarantine costs. We did hear from his father, Bruce Langbourne. Here's what he had to say.
Start looking at each individual case and understanding why people are applying to do what they're doing.
Now, Pete, we're no doubt going to be seeing plenty more stories like this. Many are saying this special unit that deals with compassionate and medical exemptions simply isn't working. When it comes to Sarah Cassab's case, many people are saying it's not up to the Chief Health Officer, but in fact the Premier to step up to the plate.